You're not waiting to learn how to talk to the universe. You're already speaking. The truth is, you've been in conversation with it since the day you were born. It's just that no one ever taught you the language. You think in sentences, perhaps speak out loud when you make a wish or write down a goal. But the universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to your signal, the constant broadcast of your thoughts, emotions, and unconscious beliefs. What if every time you felt overwhelmed, the universe recorded that as a directive? What if every time you doubted yourself, it read that as a confirmation of your limits? What if, in your silence, you were still shouting energetic commands? This is not metaphor, it's mechanics. Energetic mechanics. Because this cosmos is not a void, it's a vibrational field that's always listening. Where are you watching from right now? What time is it where you are? Take a moment to notice. Not just the location or the clock, but the feeling inside your chest. That feeling, that's part of your broadcast. You are always transmitting. And the universe? It's always mirroring. Now, think about a radio tower. You tune it to a frequency, and only those matching signals come through. If you're set to a low frequency, fear, lack, doubt, that's what will tune into your life. But if you're broadcasting joy, clarity, gratitude, your outer world starts reflecting that same station. It's not personal, it's vibrational. You might be wondering, how can I control this if most of my thoughts are unconscious? That's the key. Awareness is the first mastery. You don't need to change everything overnight. You begin by noticing, by listening in to your own signal. Think of yourself as both the broadcaster and the receiver. You send, but you also interpret. And if what's showing up in your life doesn't feel aligned, that's not punishment. It's feedback. A woman named Florence Scovel Shinn, an early 20th century metaphysical teacher, once wrote, "Your word is your wand." But she wasn't just referring to spoken phrases. She meant the energetic power behind them. Florence helped countless people rewrite their lives by tuning in to the vibration of what they truly wanted, rather than what they feared. Not by magic, but by alignment. This conversation with the universe is not linear. It doesn't follow grammar rules. It's not waiting for you to phrase things perfectly. It's responding now to how you feel about what you're thinking, about what you're choosing. That's why someone can recite positive affirmations and see no change. Because behind the words, their emotional broadcast says, "I don't believe this." On the other hand, someone can sit quietly in a room, full of calm, inner knowing, and the universe rushes to meet them. That's the paradox. You speak loudest when you feel deeply and congruently. Take stock for a moment. What have you been broadcasting lately? What's been the emotional atmosphere of your daily life? Not just in the moments when you're trying to manifest, but in the in-between. The brushing your teeth, the walking to work, the moments before you fall asleep. Those moments are the message. And here's the good news. You don't need to obsess over every thought. You just need to shift the emotional tone. Your emotions are the fuel that amplify or distort the signal. That's why the same thought can mean different things depending on how you feel when you think it. A tired "I want love" can carry despair. A joyful "I want love" can carry expansion. Same words, different frequency. That's the nuance. That's the secret. And that's what gives you back your power. Imagine a painter who doesn't know they're holding a brush. They keep swiping the canvas, unaware they're leaving marks. Life seems random, frustrating. But once they realize the brush is in their hand, everything changes. That's where you are now. This chapter of your life is about picking up that brush with intention. The strokes you've already made, they're not mistakes. They're part of your awakening. Let's look at one more lens, the scientific one. Quantum physics tells us that at the smallest levels, particles behave according to observation and potential. In other words, the observer influences the outcome. You're not just watching your life unfold, you're collapsing potential into form. Your energetic attention turns waves of possibility into tangible results. So how do you want to continue this conversation? If you could shape your next signal, what would it say? Not with words, but with energy. You don't need to scream to be heard. You only need to feel aligned. You only need to choose clearly, gently, and consistently. Let this sink in. You are already speaking. The universe is already responding. If you want to change the conversation, change the frequency. Shift not just what you say, but how you mean it. Start from the inside out. Begin not with louder commands, but with quieter alignment, because this isn't about force, it's about resonance. And the moment you truly shift your signal, the universe doesn't hesitate. It simply reflects. Now that you've recognized you're already broadcasting, the next question becomes, what is the universe actually listening to? What makes a signal strong, clear, and undeniable? That's where we go next, into the invisible frequencies that shape everything you attract. Every emotion you've ever felt, every fleeting thought, every quiet belief tucked in the corners of your consciousness, they all vibrate. And it's not poetry, it's physics. This universe isn't a blank canvas waiting for your words. It's a field of vibrating intelligence tuned in to frequencies, yours. So when you ask, how do I talk to the universe? The real question is, what frequency am I living on? Imagine walking into a room with a radio playing static. You turn the dial until clarity emerges, until a voice or a melody comes through. That's what tuning into frequency is. You don't create the music. It's already there, waiting. You align your receiver to hear it. The universe operates the same way. You don't force your desires into existence. You match their vibration. And then, like the radio signal, they become audible, visible, tangible. Energy isn't some mysterious force out there. It's in you. You're made of it. And all energy vibrates. Low frequencies manifest as heaviness, resistance, fear, doubt. High frequencies show up as joy, inspiration, confidence, peace. You've felt both, haven't you? The tightness in your chest when you're anxious. The lightness in your step when you're grateful. Those are frequencies. And the universe isn't hearing your words. It's responding to that internal rhythm. Let's put this into motion. A man named Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and renowned psychologist, endured horrors most of us will never comprehend. Yet, even in the midst of unimaginable suffering, he discovered a truth that became his life work. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. What he's describing is the shift from reaction to vibration. Even in the darkest places, the frequency you hold matters. Your vibration isn't just shaped by your big moments. It's sculpted by your emotional baseline, your habits, your daily tone. If most of your time is spent in frustration or fatigue, then even if you momentarily try to manifest something, the underlying vibration still dominates. That's why temporary positivity doesn't work. The universe doesn't respond to spikes. It responds to your dominant signal. This is why people say, I've done the affirmations, I've made the vision board, but nothing is happening. And maybe nothing visible is happening yet, because their inner tone hasn't shifted. They've decorated the surface without adjusting the frequency. It's like painting over a rusted wall without scraping off the corrosion underneath. So how do you start raising your vibration? You begin by becoming aware of how you feel, noticing when your chest tightens, when your breath shortens, when your thoughts spiral. You pause and ask, what am I resonating right now? That's your first moment of power. From there, you shift, not by pretending, but by choosing. You can reach for a better feeling thought. You can recall a memory that elevates you. You can step outside, move your body, take a breath, say thank you. Gratitude is not a cute spiritual practice. It's a vibrational amplifier. When you feel it genuinely, your frequency rises. The field around you brightens. Your thoughts become clearer. Your words carry more power. Because now, you're in resonance with abundance, not lack. Let's try a simple exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and think of something that moves you. A moment of pure beauty. A person who loves you. A dream that feels alive inside your chest. Stay there. Let the feeling expand. Don't analyze it. Just feel it. That shift you just felt? That's vibrational language. And that's the voice the universe hears. Now imagine if you lived from that frequency more often. Not perfectly, but more consistently. What would change? The answer is everything. Your ideas would flow with ease. The right people would enter your life. Opportunities would find you without you chasing them. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. This is how people manifest effortlessly. Not because they hustle harder, but because they vibrate clearer. They're not trying to get, they're being. Their energy walks into the room before they do, and the universe responds without fail. But here's where most people get stuck. They think vibration is a mood. It's not. It's a state of being. A mood comes and goes. A vibration is cultivated. It's built through intention, practice, presence. It's what you come back to when life wobbles you off balance. A single meditation won't fix your life, but returning to a practice that restores your alignment day after day will. That's the real work. The quiet, consistent tending of your frequency like a sacred fire. You protect it, you feed it, and in return, it lights the path ahead. A simple truth: you cannot fake frequency. You can say all the right words and still broadcast fear, but you can shift frequency. That's the miracle. You can learn to embody what you desire. You can become the resonance of the life you want to live. So if you want love, be love. If you want peace, breathe peace. If you want abundance, live generously, energetically, emotionally, spiritually. That doesn't mean spending beyond your means or forcing fake positivity. It means learning to recognize when you're out of sync and gently coming home. There is no judgment here. The universe isn't angry if you're vibrating in doubt. It's simply reflecting it. And the moment you adjust, the reflection adjusts with you. Like a mirror, it has no agenda, only response. As we move forward, ask yourself, what signal am I consistently broadcasting into this field? Not just when I meditate, not just when I journal, but in the quiet, unseen hours of my day. Because the universe is always listening. Not to your lips, but to your being. And your being is speaking in frequency. This brings us to a new frontier. If you are already a signal, then how do you strengthen that signal? How do you become the clearest, most coherent transmitter of the life you wish to call in? That's where we go next, into the practice of becoming the signal you seek. It begins with a decision, a quiet, firm decision not to chase the thing you want, but to become its frequency. Most people think manifestation is about asking and receiving, but the most powerful transformation happens when you realize you don't just request your desire, you embody it. You become the walking, breathing, feeling resonance of the outcome you wish to live. That's the shift. From wanting to being. This may feel abstract at first, but it's not. It's deeply practical. Think about a magnet. It doesn't go looking for metal. It simply is what it is, and by its very nature, it draws in what matches its field. That's how energy works. That's how alignment works. The difference between wishing and embodying is this. A wish is a thought you visit. Embodiment is a home you live in. When you visit a thought of abundance but return to a life of scarcity in your body, your actions, your emotions, you're not aligned. You're hoping, and hoping is beautiful, but it's not magnetic. Resonance is. So how do you begin to become the signal you seek? You start with honesty. You look at your current emotional baseline, not your intentions, not your affirmations, but your real state. What emotional patterns dominate your mornings? What thoughts cycle on repeat when you're not watching? What beliefs quietly inform your decisions? Becoming the signal doesn't mean pretending to be happy. It means getting real with what you're transmitting now, so you can gently shift it, not with force, but with awareness. Once you see clearly, you can begin to adjust. This is where identity comes in. You don't get what you want. You get who you are willing to become. If you want to manifest peace, you ask, what does a peaceful version of me believe? How do they behave? What do they allow? What do they release? And you begin to act from that version, not someday, but today. You dress into that self. You speak as that self. You walk as that self, even if your environment hasn't caught up yet. Consider the story of Oprah Winfrey. Before she became a global icon, she was a girl from Mississippi with a complicated upbringing and no evidence of a future in front of her. But even when she was working at a small radio station, she carried herself with conviction. She spoke with clarity, listened deeply, followed her calling. She didn't wait to be discovered. She became her calling, and the world followed. The universe doesn't reward who waits the longest. It aligns with who resonates the clearest. That's the blueprint of every major transformation. The outcome isn't attracted by the action alone. It's drawn in by the vibration beneath the action. So let's make this personal. What is it you desire? Is it love, freedom, purpose, abundance? Picture the version of yourself who already lives that life. Not in fantasy, in embodiment. What are they like? How do they speak? How do they hold boundaries, pursue their day, nourish their body? Now, begin to inhabit that version. Not because you're escaping your current self, but because you are activating your potential self. You're tuning into the station where your desire is already real. This isn't acting, it's remembering. You're not becoming someone else. You're peeling back the noise and aligning with the you that already exists on a higher frequency. That's how change happens. Not by piling on more effort, but by aligning with a new version of truth. Your mind may resist this at first. It may say, but that's not real. I'm not there yet. That's okay. Your subconscious has been trained to believe only what it can see. But the universe works the other way around. It shows you what you vibrate, not what you demand. The seeing comes after the being. Here's where emotional congruence becomes essential. You can't declare, I'm abundant, while vibrating in lack. You can't claim, I'm worthy of love, while feeling like an imposter. The universe doesn't believe your words, it believes your state. So how do you bring your state into congruence? Through practice. Daily, intentional, sacred repetition. You rehearse your new reality in thought, feeling, and choice. You speak as if. You act as if. You trust as if. And slowly, the as if becomes as is. This is why visualization is not fantasy. It's neural training. When you vividly imagine your future self, feeling their success, walking through their day, solving problems with clarity, you're imprinting new pathways in your brain. And your body, your energy field, your decisions begin to align. Think of it this way. You're not just attracting your future, you're remembering it. You're walking back into alignment with the life you were always meant to inhabit. And yes, doubt will arise. But you don't fight it. You thank it. Doubt is not the enemy. It's a signal that you're stretching, that you're leaving the comfort zone of old frequencies. You don't need to eliminate doubt. You only need to choose trust more often. Another key tool, environment. Your surroundings reinforce your identity. If you want to embody a new frequency, create a space that reflects it. Declutter. Add beauty. Change your phone background to a phrase that anchors you. Curate your music, your books, your content. Let every corner of your life whisper who you are becoming. Even your posture matters. The body speaks vibration. A slouched frame says something different than a grounded, open stance. So stand tall, not for appearances, but for alignment. Becoming the signal means you stop waiting for proof. You become the proof. You stop chasing validation. You validate yourself. You stop reacting to circumstances. You emit energy that shapes circumstances. Remember this. Manifestation is not a moment. It's a frequency you hold long enough for reality to match. And when it matches, it won't feel like a surprise. It will feel right. Like something you knew all along. As we step into the next section, ask yourself, if I were already living the life I desire, what would I be broadcasting right now? How would I move, speak, believe? Because once you become the signal, you become unstoppable. Now we turn to the most potent way to focus that signal. Intention. Not vague hope, but precise energetic architecture. That's the next layer of your conversation with the universe. To build anything enduring, you need a blueprint. And in the realm of energy, intention is that blueprint. It is the architecture of vibration. Without it, your energy scatters, diffused like sunlight through fog. But with clear, emotionally aligned intention, your energy becomes concentrated, like a beam of light that can cut through stone. That's the power of intention. Not as a wish, not as a vague hope, but as a conscious declaration. This is what I choose to become, to emit, to live. Intentions are not just ideas, they are energetic commands. The moment you clarify what you truly want, you begin a new conversation with the universe. Not a passive whisper, but a clear directive. You are saying, I know what I desire. I know why I desire it. And I am ready to align with its frequency. Let's get specific. People often say things like, I want to be happy, I want abundance, I want love. But these are not intentions. They are categories, undefined signals. The universe hears them and reflects back their vagueness. What does happiness mean to you? What does abundance look like in your life? In measurable, embodied terms. Imagine walking into a restaurant and telling the server, bring me food. That's not helpful. Do you want something hot or cold, spicy or sweet, vegan or not? You need to order with clarity to receive what truly nourishes you. Intention is the same. So instead of, "I want more money," say, "I am earning $10,000 per month doing meaningful, creative work that lights me up and contributes value." That's a frequency. That's a blueprint. That gives the universe something to build from. But it's not just about the what. It's also about the why. When your intention is connected to a core value, it carries emotional weight. It becomes magnetic. For example, earning money for the sake of status vibrates differently than earning money to support your family, to fund your purpose, to create freedom. Let's pause and try something together. Close your eyes and ask, what do I truly want? Not what sounds impressive, not what others expect, but what moves me. Now ask, why do I want it? What would this allow me to feel, give, experience, or express? That's where intention lives, in the intersection of clarity and purpose. In the 20th century, Buckminster Fuller, the visionary inventor and futurist, said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the old one obsolete." Your intention is that new model. When you commit to it, reality shifts, not always instantly, but inevitably, because you've changed the signal. Another principle of strong intention: present tense language. When you say, "One day I'll be free," you place freedom in the future. But when you declare, "I am stepping into freedom now," you bring that vibration into the present. The subconscious doesn't understand future tense. It aligns with what feels real now. That's why emotional alignment is essential. Don't just write your intention. Feel it. Embody it. Sit with it. What would it feel like to already be living that reality? How would your mornings change? Your posture? Your decisions? When you layer feeling onto intention, you transform it from a mental wish into a vibrational reality. Now, let's address a common confusion: the difference between intention and expectation. Expectation demands that something show up in a specific form or timeline. Intention, on the other hand, sets a direction, but allows flexibility. Expectation often creates anxiety. Intention creates flow. You might say, "I intend to be in a loving partnership," without needing it to come through a specific person, within a certain month, or matching a checklist. That openness allows the universe to surprise you. Expectation narrows possibilities. Intention expands them. Here's the paradox: the more you cling to how your desire will manifest, the more you pinch off the flow. The more you loosen your grip while holding a clear vision, the faster it unfolds. Think of intention as steering the ship, and trust as letting the wind do its part. To strengthen your intention, revisit it often. Not from lack, but from love. Write it out. Speak it aloud. Create rituals around it. Journal about what it feels like to live it. Visualize it with clarity and warmth. Let it soak into your nervous system until it feels normal. Your environment matters too. Surround yourself with symbols and cues that reflect your intention. Vision boards are useful, not because they're magic, but because they rewire your awareness. Change your phone background. Set reminders that whisper your vision. Make your space a silent affirmation of who you are becoming. Your energy doesn't just live in your mind. It lives in your choices, your surroundings, your rituals. Aligning your external world with your internal vision creates coherence, and coherence is powerful. One more insight: intentions evolve. As you grow, you'll refine them. What excited you 6 months ago may feel irrelevant now. That's not inconsistency, that's integrity. Sit with your desires regularly. Ask, Is this still true for me? You're not chasing goals. You're living a frequency. And that requires ongoing dialogue with yourself. Let's take a real-world example. Consider Elon Musk. Regardless of what one thinks of his personality or methods, his intentions have always been clear. Interplanetary expansion, renewable energy, technological transformation. He moves with clarity of vision, and even when the how is uncertain, the what is vivid. That's the power of long-range intention. It becomes a gravitational pull. It attracts resources, minds, moments, not because of obsession, but because of focused presence. You don't have to be a billionaire or a public figure to use this. You are already shaping your life with intention, whether consciously or unconsciously. This chapter invites you to do it consciously, to stop reacting and start architecting, to choose with clarity, to declare with heart, to live from the frequency of decision. And that frequency is not timid. It doesn't whisper, it resonates. So as we continue this conversation, ask yourself, what am I intending? Why? And how often do I align with that intention? Not just in thought, but in feeling, in choice, in environment. Because now that you've declared what you want and aligned with its energy, the next question arises. Do you believe it's possible? That's the gateway we open next. The belief system that either stabilizes or distorts your entire signal. There's a moment in every manifestor's journey when clarity is no longer the issue. You've set your intention. You've felt its truth in your body. You've aligned your words, your rituals, your choices, and yet, nothing seems to move. This is where most people quit. Not because the desire wasn't real, but because the belief behind it wasn't stable. Belief is not a luxury in manifestation. It is the transmitter. It is the internal mechanism that determines how far, how consistently, and how powerfully your intention travels through the field of possibility. Without belief, intention is like a flare fired into the sky without fuel. It fizzles. But when belief ignites intention, it becomes unstoppable. Let's say this plainly. Your belief system is the boundary of what you can receive. Not because the universe is withholding anything, but because your signal doesn't support its arrival. You cannot live a reality you fundamentally don't believe is possible. You can wish for it, hope for it, imagine it, but you won't hold it. Because you'll unconsciously resist, sabotage, or miss it altogether. Think about that for a moment. How many things have you delayed, not because you weren't ready, but because you didn't believe you were? How many relationships have passed you by because you secretly believed you weren't lovable enough? How many opportunities have faded because you couldn't picture yourself deserving them? Belief is not just about what you think. It's about what you accept as normal. If abundance feels like a fantasy instead of a norm, then even when it knocks on your door, you might not open. The doorman of your subconscious won't let it in. So how do you begin rewriting belief? Start by noticing what you already believe. Not the conscious declarations, but the quiet narratives underneath. When you say, "I want to be financially free," does a voice whisper, "That's not for people like me"? When you say, "I'm worthy of love," does your nervous system tighten in disbelief? Those signals matter. They shape your field. And the good news is, beliefs can be rewritten. They're not laws. They're learned patterns. Most were formed in childhood, through repetition, modeling, or emotional intensity. But they're not your destiny. They're your starting point. One of the most profound examples comes from Jim Carrey. Early in his career, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it 5 years into the future, and kept it in his wallet. At the time, he was broke, No contacts, no guarantee. But he believed. He visualized. He aligned his energy daily, and just before the date on the check, he received a role in Dumb and Dumber with a $10 million paycheck. That's not superstition. That's belief in action. Not passive hoping, but active frequency alignment. His external reality caught up with his internal certainty. You can do this too, but you must choose your beliefs consciously. The old paradigm says, "I'll believe it when I see it." The energetic paradigm says, "I'll see it when I believe it." And belief is a choice. Yes, it's a practice, but at its root, it's a decision. You can wake up today and say, "I choose to believe this is possible for me." You can nurture that belief with evidence. You can feed it with rituals, conversations, content, and environments that reflect your new truth. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing which version of reality to invest your energy in. Your current circumstances are not lies, but they are temporary. Belief plants the seed of a new one. To identify limiting beliefs, listen for the word "but." I want to grow my business, but I'm not good with money. I want to find love, but I always get hurt. The words after "but" reveal the program running your vibration. Once you identify the limiting belief, don't fight it, question it. Where did it come from? Is it universally true or just historically familiar? What would a more empowering belief sound like? Then replace it. Not by shouting over it, but by choosing a new thought and repeating it until it becomes more familiar than the old one. Let's say your old belief is, "I'm not creative." Your new belief might be, "My creativity flows when I trust myself." Repeat that. Visualize it. Find even the smallest moments in your day that confirm it. Your brain will begin scanning for evidence. The more evidence you notice, the more the belief stabilizes, and the more your vibration shifts. This is where emotions become allies. Emotion is the glue that binds belief to frequency. A belief without feeling is fragile, but a belief soaked in gratitude, joy, or excitement becomes magnetic. It pulses through your energy field. It becomes part of your signature. So don't just say the new belief, feel it. Celebrate it in advance. Let your body memorize the vibration of it being true. Your mind may resist, but your body remembers. And as the body shifts, so does your field. Here's a practical tool. Scripting. Write a journal entry from your future self, describing your day as if your intention has already manifested. Use vivid, sensory-rich language. Include how you feel, what you're doing, who you're with. Let that version of you become familiar. Over time, this repetition carves a new groove in your subconscious. And the universe, always listening to your baseline frequency, begins reflecting your new belief back to you. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. And yes, the old beliefs will try to return. They'll whisper doubt when you're close to a breakthrough. Don't fear this. It's just your subconscious asking, "Are we sure about this new path?" You answer not with force, but with repetition, with steadiness, with kindness. Remember, manifestation isn't just about what you want. It's about who you're willing to become to receive it. And belief is the bridge between intention and outcome, between thought and form, between asking and having. Now that you've set clear intentions and chosen empowering beliefs, there's one more piece needed to activate the process fully. The act of asking. Asking not from desperation, but with clarity and emotional certainty. That's the next step in this conversation. How to ask the universe in a way that sets your signal in motion. There's an art to asking, not the kind you learned as a child, where asking meant politeness, volume, or timing. This is deeper. To ask the universe is not to beg. It's not to plead or to hope. It's to declare with resonance. It's to send a vibrational signal so clear, so emotionally certain, that the field of creation begins reshaping itself around your message. Most people ask from lack. They say, "Please give me this because I don't have it." And so, the universe hears the dominant signal. I lack. That's the paradox. Your words can request abundance, but your frequency may still vibrate in desperation. And the universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your tone. So asking, in this sense, is not about speaking louder. It's about aligning deeper. When you ask with true clarity, you are not just choosing a desire, you're inhabiting its frequency. This begins with specificity. Vague questions receive vague responses. I want more money could manifest as finding a coin on the street. But I am ready to receive 5,000 to pay off my debt and start my wellness project. That carries direction. It sends a signal the universe can mirror with precision. Now add emotional weight. Why do you want this? Not the surface answer, the truth beneath it. Maybe it's not really the $5,000. It's the peace of mind, the dignity, the restored sense of forward motion. That emotional core is the fuel of your request. So asking becomes an act of energetic alignment. What do I want? Why does it matter to me? How would I feel if it were already mine? When you can answer all three clearly, without tension, you are asking vibrationally, not just mentally. Think of the story of Muhammad Ali. Before he was the heavyweight champion of the world, he declared to anyone who would listen, "I am the greatest." He said it before anyone believed him. He said it until the world caught up. He didn't just speak it, he became it. That's vibrational asking. You speak what already feels real inside you. And then, this part is crucial, you release it. Yes, you heard that right. Once you've asked with clarity and emotional certainty, you let it go. Not in dismissal, but in trust. Asking is not a loop. You don't keep sending the signal over and over, fearing it wasn't heard. You trust that the request was received. You move into the frequency of expectation, not control. Let's be clear. You are not asking the universe like a child asking a parent. You are co-creating with a field of infinite intelligence that mirrors your signal. Your job is to define and align. The universe's job is to organize and deliver. This is where people often make mistakes. They either ask vaguely, "I just want things to get better." Ask fearfully, "Please let this happen or else." Or ask repeatedly out of doubt, "I know I asked, but I'll ask again just in case." Each of these fractures the signal. They send confusion. They vibrate with mistrust. Instead, anchor yourself with clarity. Choose a single intention. Declare it with emotional alignment. Feel it as if it's already forming. Then step back. Let the universe breathe. Let's put this into a formula. What plus? Why plus feeling? Clear request. Example. I am now attracting a life partner who deeply understands me, shares my values, and helps me grow emotionally and spiritually. I desire this connection because I'm ready to give and receive love fully. I feel grateful, calm, and excited as I open my heart to this unfolding. That's not just a sentence. That's a broadcast. And then comes action. Not forceful, controlling action, but inspired action. After you ask, pay attention to nudges. Maybe a friend mentions a book. Maybe you feel drawn to a place. Maybe an idea lands in your chest like a soft thunder. These are responses. You may also begin noticing signs, repeating numbers, unexpected synchronicities, dreams that feel vivid. Don't overanalyze them. but do acknowledge them. They are echoes. They are reminders that the field is stirring, that your signal is not bouncing into a void, but into a mirror. And if nothing happens right away, that's okay. The energy is moving. You may not see the roots growing, but the sprout will come. In the meantime, use affirmations not to get what you want, but to stay in vibrational alignment with your request. Say, "What I've asked for is already forming. I am aligned, open, and ready to receive. Everything is unfolding in perfect timing." Let these words become emotional anchors, not because the universe needs convincing, but because you need remembering. Remember also, your energy field is intelligent. When you ask from a calm, open place, your field widens. You become receptive. But when you ask from panic, your field constricts. That's why urgency blocks flow. Desperation clouds clarity. But trust opens everything. And one more truth. Not every manifestation looks like you imagined. You may ask for abundance and receive an opportunity that doesn't look financial, but leads to wealth later. You may ask for love and find yourself first drawn into healing. Trust the shape your manifestation takes. It may be wiser than your plans. Asking the universe isn't about controlling the outcome. It's about activating your alignment. You ask. You believe. You stay open. You follow what feels alive. And you let the field do what it does best. Respond to your vibration. In the next section, we'll explore what comes after the asking, the part that most people skip or stumble on, trusting the process. Because while asking initiates the journey, trust carries it to completion. There is a space between asking and receiving. It's the quiet place most people resist. It's the waiting room of the universe. And within that space lives your greatest test, not of worth, but of trust. This is where the invisible work happens. The unfolding you can't see, the rearranging you didn't orchestrate, the answers forming in silence. This is the space where time stretches and your patience deepens. And how you move through it determines everything. Trust is not about sitting idle. It's about holding frequency when there's no evidence. That's where the real mastery begins. Not when everything is flowing, but when nothing seems to be. And yet you stay open, still aligned, still faithful. You see, anyone can feel confident when results are visible. But true energetic power is staying in harmony before the outer catches up. The delay is not a denial. It's a gestation. You are not being ignored. You are being prepared. Think about this. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up each morning to check its roots. You trust the soil. You water it. You wait for the first green to push through. And when it does, it often feels sudden. But the truth is, it's been growing the whole time, just out of sight. Your manifestations are no different. When you ask with clarity, the energy begins moving, but the physical form needs structure, time, coordination, and most importantly, your continued alignment. What blocks that alignment? Micromanaging the how, obsessing over when, doubting every silence. Each time you think, "Why isn't it here yet?" you unknowingly shift from receiving to resisting. That thought carries a frequency of mistrust, and the universe, being a mirror, responds accordingly. So how do you trust the process without becoming passive? You practice detachment, the art of holding your desire with an open hand. Not because you don't care, but because you know your worth is not dependent on whether it arrives. You are whole with or without it. That's powerful energy. That's magnetic. Detachment isn't giving up. It's giving space. It's saying, "I've asked, I've aligned, and now I release the outcome to intelligence greater than mine. When you grip tightly, you signal fear. But when you soften, you allow miracles to move through the cracks. Consider Nelson Mandela. For 27 years, he was imprisoned, stripped of position, visibility, and external power. And yet, he did not collapse. He trusted something deeper than circumstance. He aligned with a vision of freedom, dignity, and transformation. When he emerged, the world had shifted to meet him. That wasn't luck. That was trust in practice, under pressure. You may not be behind bars, but you might feel stuck in a job, in a season, in a pattern. And it's in that stillness, that pause, that the universe is asking you to trust your signal, to hold your frequency, to not crumble under temporary silence. And yes, doubt will visit. You're human. There will be mornings when nothing makes sense, when your energy feels low, when the dream feels far. Let those moments come, but don't live in them. When doubt arrives, greet it like a wave. Breathe. Feel it move through you. Then come back to your center. Re-anchor with a ritual. Repeat your intention. Read old journal entries where you felt aligned. Call someone who believes in you. This is not delusion. It's recalibration. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to return, again and again, to the place inside you that knows, that remembers, that trusts. Another tool, reframe the silence. When nothing is happening externally, ask, what's growing inside me? Often, before something arrives in your life, it must first arrive in you. New levels of peace, resilience, confidence. These are not delays. They are preparations. Let's also talk about signs. As you move through this space, the universe often sends confirmations, subtle nudges, repeating numbers, a sentence from a stranger that answers your unspoken question, a dream, a door creaking open just enough to remind you, you're not alone in this process. Pay attention. Don't worship the signs, but do acknowledge them. Smile. Say thank you. Each one is a whisper. Keep going. It's working. Then there's inspired action. Trusting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting from flow, not fear. Ask yourself daily, what feels aligned today? Maybe it's sending an email, maybe it's resting, maybe it's creating something from your heart. These actions aren't about making it happen. They're about staying in motion with the universe. Think of it as a dance. You lead, then follow. You speak, then listen. You move, then pause. That's co-creation. And in that rhythm, magic unfolds. Now, what if days become weeks? What if the waiting stretches longer than your patience? Here's where most people collapse their field. They declare, it's not working, and so it isn't. Because that thought, it's not working, is itself a manifestation. You've changed the signal. You've interrupted the flow. But if instead you say, I don't see it yet, but I trust it's forming, you maintain coherence. You hold the channel open, and one day, what felt far lands softly in your lap. Because energy honors faith. And here's one final truth. The universe is not punishing you with delay. It's refining you, shaping you to match what you've asked for. Sometimes, what's taking so long isn't the manifestation. It's you becoming the version of yourself who can receive and sustain it. So if the dream hasn't arrived yet, ask yourself, am I ready to hold it? Am I grounded enough, clear enough, steady enough to receive it without collapsing under it? If not, beautiful. You now know what to work on. That is trust in action. As we transition forward, remember, trusting the process isn't passive. It's the most dynamic, intentional, and sacred part of manifestation. Because when you can hold belief in the dark, you become the light. Next, we explore how to receive. Not in theory, but in practice. Because the truth is, many people ask, many believe, but few know how to let it in. You've asked, you've aligned, you've trusted. Now comes the moment that seems most obvious, and yet, for many, it's the hardest of all. Receiving. It sounds simple. Of course, we want to receive the things we've called in, but in truth, most people are unconsciously blocking the very desires they've spent so much energy cultivating. Why? Because to receive requires openness. It requires a soft, steady space within you, a sense of worthiness, safety, and trust. If even a part of you feels unworthy, unsure, or overwhelmed by what's arriving, your field closes. Not as punishment, but as protection. And the gift stays circling, unable to land. Receiving is not passive. It's an active state of energetic receptivity. It's choosing presence over projection, allowing instead of bracing. It's recognizing the signals, the opportunities, the shifts, not just in grand events, but in subtle invitations from life itself. Let's begin here. Receiving starts with recognition. So many people miss their manifestations because they expected them to arrive in a specific way. You ask for abundance and look only for money. Yet abundance shows up in time saved, help offered, a connection made. You ask for love and expect a romantic partner. Yet love arrives first through self-trust, friendships, or moments of deep self-acceptance. The universe rarely delivers in the packaging you imagined, but it always delivers in alignment with what you need. This is why expectation can block reception. When you grip tightly to how it must look, you may overlook the thing already forming in your field. A relationship might not start as a whirlwind. It may begin as quiet trust. A new chapter might not arrive with a contract, but with an intuition. Pay attention. Stay curious. Let's talk about worthiness. One of the biggest reasons people reject what they've called in is this. Deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. And so when the opportunity comes, they sabotage, they delay, they second guess. Because the vibration of "I'm not ready" or "I'm not enough" drowns out the clarity of the original ask. If this resonates, breathe. You're not broken. You've simply inherited a belief system that told you you must earn love, prove value, suffer before joy. But that's not universal law. That's human conditioning. Receiving asks you to retrain your nervous system, to get familiar, viscerally familiar, with what it feels like to live in the frequency of your desire, to normalize peace, to allow success, to welcome support without guilt. This is not arrogance. It's alignment. Try this. The next time something good happens, no matter how small, a compliment, a kind gesture, a bit of ease, don't deflect it. Don't say, "Oh, it was nothing." Don't rush past it. Pause, breathe, let it in. Say silently, "Yes, thank you, I received that." That moment, repeated often enough, shifts your field. One of the most powerful ways to open your channel to receiving is through gratitude. Not performative gratitude. Not "I should be grateful" guilt, but felt gratitude. The kind that arises from your bones, that softens your chest, that brings tears without warning. When you say "thank you" to what you already have, you become a match for more. Gratitude isn't a tactic, it's a frequency. It says to the universe, "I notice, I honor. I am ready for more. Start a morning practice. 3 things you're grateful for, not just intellectually, but emotionally. Breathe into each one. See it in your mind. Let it bloom in your body. This isn't repetition, it's resonance. And when the big manifestations come, the job, the healing, the partner, celebrate them. Let celebration become a spiritual act, not as spectacle, but as anchoring. You're telling your nervous system, this is safe, this is mine, this is normal now. Write it down, speak it aloud, tell a friend, do something symbolic, a walk, a small ritual, a gift to yourself. Make the moment real. Because once it feels real to you, the universe keeps delivering at that level. Frequency stabilizes. Also understand, sometimes your manifestation comes with responsibility. You asked to grow. Now you have a platform. You asked for love. Now you must communicate vulnerably. You asked for wealth. Now you must manage it wisely. Receiving includes integration, becoming someone who can sustain what you've received. Let's look at this through someone you know. Oprah Winfrey. Her journey wasn't just about success. It was about holding success, staying centered in her purpose, using her platform for expansion. She didn't just attract greatness. She received it with integrity. She integrated it with wisdom. That's mastery. You can do the same. When the desire arrives, don't minimize it. Don't call it luck. Call it alignment. And let that identity grow into every layer of your life. Now, here's something rarely discussed. Receiving doesn't always feel euphoric. Sometimes it feels overwhelming, confronting, unfamiliar. You've lived so long without it, your system panics. That's okay. Breathe through it. Let your body adjust to the new normal. Joy is an emotion like any other. It takes practice to expand your capacity to hold it. And not every gift looks like one. Sometimes, the manifestation comes as a challenge that clears the way. You ask for alignment, and an old friendship dissolves. You ask for growth, and a situation forces you to act courageously. Don't resist these moments. Trust the intelligence behind them. Receiving also includes non-resistance to form. You may get what you asked for in a different wrapping. Don't reject the gift because of the packaging. Say, I am open to receiving this in the highest, most aligned way, even if it surprises me. That's trust in motion. Your job is not to force, not to figure it all out, but to prepare your field, to live in the readiness, to welcome the unexpected. So as we close this section, breathe in the truth. You are allowed to receive. Not because you've earned it, but because you're aligned with it. Receiving is not a reward, it's a reflection. And when you soften into it, when you stop bracing, stop questioning, stop waiting for the other shoe to drop, you become a channel for abundance in all forms. Next, we move to something just as vital. What happens when things don't go as planned? When setbacks arise, emotions shake, doubts return. That's where real alignment is tested and refined. You've asked, believed, trusted, and opened yourself to receive. But life isn't always linear, is it? Sometimes, just as things begin to shift, they unravel. The deal falls through. The person walks away. The breakthrough seems to vanish. And in those moments, you may find yourself thinking, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You're simply being initiated. Setbacks are not punishments. They're invitations. Each challenge is an opportunity to recalibrate your alignment, not abandon your path. The universe isn't reversing your progress. It's refining your readiness. And if you can hold this perspective, every detour becomes a deeper opening. You see, manifestation is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You revisit old beliefs at new levels. You encounter familiar emotions in unfamiliar contexts. And your response to these recurrences reveals whether you're embodying your new frequency or slipping back into old patterns. So let's begin here. A setback is not a sign you've failed. It's a signal that something still needs your attention. It could be an emotion you haven't fully felt, a belief you've upgraded intellectually but not energetically, a pattern still lingering in your nervous system. Whatever it is, the challenge is not a barrier. It's a mirror. Let's explore a few types of common setbacks and what they might mean. 1. Delays. You've asked, you've visualized, you've felt aligned, but nothing is showing up. This often means the universe is arranging the right timing, or you're still developing the inner stability needed to receive what's coming. Instead of asking, why is it taking so long? Try, what is this waiting teaching me? That reframe returns your power. 2. Emotional dips. One day you feel unstoppable. The next, you can barely move. This doesn't mean you've lost your alignment. It means you're integrating. Think of it as an energetic detox. Old energy is leaving your field, and as it rises, it can feel uncomfortable. The key is not to resist it. Feel it. Honor it. Then return to center. 3. External breakdowns. A job loss, a breakup, a financial hiccup. While painful, these are often the universe's way of clearing out what no longer matches your new frequency. It's not sabotage, it's synchronization. Let go with grace even when it hurts. You're being made spacious for something greater. In all these cases, the invitation is to stay in alignment, even when reality wobbles. Alignment is not about never feeling fear. It's about coming back to your chosen frequency faster and with greater awareness. Here's how. Return to presence. When doubt screams, "It's not working," bring your focus back to the now. What's true in this exact moment? Often your fear is about a future that hasn't happened. And the now, this breath, this heartbeat, is calm, peaceful, safe. Reaffirm your why. Go back to the root of your intention. Why did you begin this journey? What are you creating, not just on the outside, but within yourself? Let that original spark ground you. Use the challenge as a mirror. Ask, what is this teaching me about my energy, my habits, my stories? If a pattern is repeating, it's asking for transformation, not judgment. Shift from resistance to curiosity. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Try, what if this is guiding me? That question alone can change your frequency. Practical tools can help realign your energy quickly. Visualization reboot. Close your eyes. See your desired reality, not as a wish, but as a memory. Feel it fully. Let your body believe it's real again. Gratitude reset. Write down 5 things you're grateful for right now, even if they're small. Gratitude recalibrates your entire field. Movement and breath. Energy gets stuck in the body. Shake it out. Dance. Stretch. Walk. Breathe deep into your belly. Move the emotion. Don't suppress it. Spiritual reconnection. Meditate. Pray. Speak to the universe. Say, I don't know the way, but I trust you do. I release this. Show me what I'm ready to receive. Above all, remember, resilience isn't about being tough. It's about being elastic. You bend, but don't break. You wobble, but don't collapse. You fall down and rise wiser. Let's look at an example. Think of J.K. Rowling, rejected by a dozen publishers, battling depression, single mother. But she kept writing, kept believing, kept aligning with the world inside her, until the world around her caught up. Harry Potter didn't manifest because of perfect conditions. It manifested through unshakable inner vision. You have that too. Your setbacks are not your story. They are your sculptors. And if you've been doing everything right and still feel stuck, maybe you're in the final stretch. The place where most give up. The silent threshold before the breakthrough. Stay steady. Stay soft. Stay true. Because the universe is not punishing you, it's preparing you. As we close this chapter, know this. Your energy speaks louder in setbacks than in success. Your alignment is measured not by what happens to you, but by how you return to who you've chosen to be. Now, we move to the final phase of this journey, remembering who you truly are. Beyond the tools, beyond the practice, beyond the process, there is a truth that changes everything. You are not just manifesting the universe, you are the universe, made conscious. There's a moment when the seeking quiets, when the affirmations, the visualizations, the rituals begin to fall away, not because they don't work, but because something deeper has settled in. A knowing, a remembering. That all this time, you haven't been speaking to the universe. You've been speaking as it, because you are not separate from the field you're trying to influence. You are the field. You are not an outsider trying to force miracles. You are a living, breathing extension of the intelligence that creates them. When you fully remember this, everything changes. You stop pleading. You start choosing. You stop pushing. You start allowing. You stop chasing outcomes. You start embodying truths. This is the final shift, from doing to being, from effort to essence. It begins when you realize every thought you've had, every emotion you've felt, every decision you've made was not a signal sent to the universe. It was the universe, in motion, learning itself through you, expressing its infinite possibility through your finite form. You are not trying to manifest alignment. You are alignment rediscovering itself. Take a breath here. Feel that. It's subtle, but undeniable. You've never been off path. Not once. Even the detours, the delays, the doubts, they were the path. The cocoon doesn't delay the butterfly. It is the process. And your unfolding has never been behind. It's been timed to the rhythm of cosmic precision. What if the universe isn't waiting for you to get it right, but simply waiting for you to remember who you are? When you start living from this knowing, you stop performing. You stop managing your vibration like a task list. You stop bracing against contrast. You start trusting contrast as the friction that sharpens clarity. You start welcoming uncertainty as the canvas where new frequencies emerge. Because now, you know, everything is feedback. Every conversation, every event, every trigger, it's not random. It's a mirror. It shows you where you're still leaking energy, where you're still forgetting your truth, where you're still outsourcing your power. And when you see that, you don't judge yourself. You realign again and again and again. You become a tuning fork for coherence, a lighthouse for resonance, a sanctuary for presence. And from this place, life begins to organize itself around you. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. This is what mystics across time have pointed to, what sages whispered in temples, what the ancient scripts encoded. You don't get your reality. You become it. You don't attract your desires. You amplify the parts of you where they already live. It's not about raising your vibration to escape reality. It's about deepening your vibration to merge with truth. The deeper your presence, the clearer your signal. And the clearer your signal, the more naturally life responds. At this stage, you become less reactive. Not because you've numbed out, but because you see through the noise. Someone criticizes you. You feel the sting, then breathe it through. You don't collapse. You don't lash out. You witness. And in that witnessing, you remain available to the higher frequency. You begin speaking less, but your energy speaks louder. You stop needing to prove, needing to convince. You simply live in coherence, and coherence is magnetic. Now let's ground this in the physical. Start designing your life around your remembering. Build routines that nourish not just your goals, but your vibration. Choose work, rest, food, people, music, spaces that harmonize with your essence. Create rituals that honor your inner field. Whether it's a morning walk, an evening candle, or a whispered mantra, make your life a living altar. You don't need to escape the world to be spiritual. You need to bring spirit into everything you do. Even mundane acts, brushing your teeth, folding clothes, driving, can become acts of alignment. When you move through them with presence, with intention, they become energetic practices, because now everything is energy, and you are the one tuning it. You'll still have human moments. Emotions will rise. Old patterns will surface. But you will meet them not with fear, but with spaciousness. You'll say, "Ah, here you are. I see you, and I choose differently now." That is mastery. Not perfection, not control, but remembrance and choice. You are now the anchor, and from here, your manifestations become effortless. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped resisting. You no longer need to make things happen. You become the kind of person they naturally happen to. As this embodiment deepens, your outer world becomes a reflection of your inner serenity. Relationships improve, not because others change, but because you stop attracting from your wounds. Finances stabilize, not because of luck, but because you no longer sabotage out of unworthiness. Creativity flows, not from pressure, but from joy. You're no longer manifesting to fix something. You're manifesting as an expression of who you've become. And that is freedom. Now, as we prepare to close this journey, we arrive at the final transmission. Not a new lesson, but the full circle return to truth. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, becoming aware of itself. And when you live from that place, you don't need to chase your reality. You speak it into being. In the final section, we'll seal this remembrance with the truth that outlives every tool, every technique, and every theory. You are the frequency. You are the voice. You are the field. And you were never waiting. You were always creating. The journey doesn't end with knowing. It begins there, knowing who you are, what you are, and why your very presence is already changing reality. You've been through every layer now. The asking, the aligning, the trusting, the receiving. But beneath all of that, through every vibration you've broadcast, every belief you've rewritten, every doubt you've transmuted, something sacred has been unfolding. You have not just learned how to speak to the universe. You have become someone who remembers that you never stopped. Because every thought you've ever thought, every tear you've ever shed, every hope you buried or dared to whisper, they were all conversations, all frequencies, all part of the dialogue. Even your silence was a message. Even your stillness was a signal. And now, you remember the language. You remember that it was never about doing more. It was about becoming more you. stripping away the noise, the borrowed stories, the external noise that made you forget what you already knew. The greatest manifestation is not a thing. It's not the money, not the partner, not the career. It's you. The you that walks into a room vibrating clarity. The you that speaks few words, because your energy speaks volumes. The you that can sit in silence and still command reality to respond. Because the truth is, your being is a broadcast. Your existence is already rippling through this field, affecting timelines, bending probability, shifting the tone of every space you enter. That is no longer a possibility. It's a responsibility. You now know too much to pretend you're powerless. You now feel too much to believe you're separate. You now remember that the version of you who gets there was never waiting at the finish line. They've been walking beside you all along, whispering through intuition, breathing through your choices, igniting each time you dared to trust. So what now? Now, you speak differently. You ask not from scarcity, but from co-creation. You affirm not to convince, but to stabilize. You act not to chase, but to align. And you hold yourself, not just when you're manifesting, but when you're aching, when you're doubting, when you're recalibrating. Because now you see those moments not as interruptions, but as invitations. Back to self, back to source. Even the so-called wrong turns were never wrong. They were reminders, sacred disruptions guiding you back into frequency. And now, your compass isn't out there. It's in here. Feel that. Breathe into it. You've traveled far without moving. You've crossed thresholds without leaving your seat. You've peeled back layers, only to find what was always inside. You are not here to manifest like a magician. You are here to remember like a mystic. The tools you've used, affirmations, visualization, intentions, they were never the source. You were. And they were only pointing you back to your own resonance. From here, manifestation becomes something softer, gentler, less about force, more about frequency. You become a receiver, not just of what you desire, but of what life wants to flow through you. Ideas, messages, connections, miracles. They come not because you hustle harder, but because you've cleared space. You've emptied yourself of needing, so now you can receive. You've released who you were, so now you can embody what's next. And what's next is not a thing, it's a state of resonance so stable that even when life shakes, you stay open. Even when the noise rises, you stay tuned. Even when nothing happens for a while, you stay magnetic. Because you know now, you remember now, and this remembering becomes the legacy you live. It shows in your choices, in your stillness, in your generosity, in your non-reactivity, in your softness and strength existing at once. You don't have to tell the world who you are. They feel it. You don't need to prove your power. You emanate it. And from this place, you stop waiting for doors to open. You realize you are the one who built the hallway. Your presence is the key. Your energy is the invitation. And your frequency is the force that bends space around your truth. So the question isn't whether the universe is listening. The question is, what will you say now? What new intention will you breathe into existence? Not because you lack it, but because you're ready to express it. What new signal will you transmit? Not from fear, but from overflow. What new version of yourself will you become? Not someday, but today? Because today, the universe is still listening. And you are the one holding the microphone. So speak clearly, speak kindly, speak powerfully, and then be quiet enough to hear its response. It always responds. You've remembered the language. Now go speak your world into being. And now, we arrive at the close. Not of your journey, but of this conversation. A conversation that has only ever pointed you back to yourself. From the beginning, this wasn't about giving you power. It was about reminding you that you never lost it. You are not a visitor in this universe. You are the universe in human form. A current of intelligence, vibration, and creation condensed into a name, a body, a story. And that story? You're rewriting it now. With every new choice. With every new frequency you inhabit. With every time you return to your breath and say, I remember. You remember that asking is not pleading, it's declaring. That believing is not pretending, it's aligning. That trusting is not waiting, it's embodying. That receiving is not passive, it's active, allowing. And that reality is not fixed, it's fluid. Sculpted by the vibration you stabilize, not the words you say. You now carry something that cannot be unseen. A knowing that vibrates beneath your skin, that says, I am a creator, I am a transmitter, I am a frequency of life itself. This knowing isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It simply is. Steady, true, eternal. From this moment forward, everything you touch, everything you think, everything you allow, carries the imprint of this remembrance. So walk gently, walk boldly, walk as if the universe moves through your footsteps, because it does. And when the world forgets, as it often will, become the reminder. When someone asks how to change their life, you'll smile, not with ego, but with empathy, and say, it starts with your vibration. Speak it, feel it, live it, and watch the world echo back your truth. You are not waiting anymore. You are emitting. You are not asking for permission. You are anchoring presence. You are not becoming. You already are. Now go. Live like the universe is listening, because it is, and it always was.